Hello, I'm here in Tokyo right now. We're about to play a show later. Um, and I wanted to talk a little bit about Arrogation. So, I'm talking about total art, and I've discussed integration and coalescence as two wings of Metaperichoresis, and Arrogation. Basically, Arrogation is a technique of interacting with discursive formations or cultural institutions in a way that instead of putting yourself in them and playing by their rules, you exist in multiple ones of them at a time, and so you make an appearance in each of them that doesn't quite fit, but then that kind of draws people from within that world into your sphere. I didn't articulate that well, but the basic idea is that you're sort of instead of sort of serving the cultural logic that sort of serves the direction that things would go anyway, instead of being part of the world, you engage in a way where you're legible, but only partially, and like there's actually this sort of other world that you are, that you've already sort of created through integration and coalescence, and you end up using cultural silos as a material rather than a medium. And this so in my case, like for example, my work exists kind of in the music industry, like the independent music industry, such as it still exists at all, and it like circulates among people who really just like, they're huge music fans, and like year-end lists and that kind of thing, but everyone knows that I'm kind of an alien there too, that there's something, that I'm like a wolf in sheep's clothing kind of, or something, that there's something else going on. And similarly, I have this art show up right now. I'm kind of in the art world, but I am engaged enough with kind of the current horizon and the history of it to be legible, but I'm also not really in it, and I'm not sort of like, my goal isn't like to kind of climb that ladder kind of. And then similar with philosophy, like I'm about to give a philosophy seminar, and it's in a particular kind of silo within philosophy that's kind of para-academic and art world adjacent, and but my, even in that pretty radical sphere of philosophy, my philosophical views are pretty radical. I think especially my my dogmatic faith in the resurrection of Christ is um, never. I'll sort of say things that I know prevent me from being fully taken seriously, and that's the case in any of those domains, and it always makes it a little bit lonely for me, and it's made my career move kind of slowly in a way, because I sort of know, like, I always sort of know that I could make certain moves to be more aligned with scenes in these worlds as they kind of ripen and grow. And, like, I've been around for long enough to sort of watch a lot of those formations develop. And I really do make conscious choices, to, like, I'm sort of tempted to sort of distort who I am in order to be a part of something more. But I don't believe in that fully. Like, that's not what my project is anyway. My project is this other thing where it's like, it's the arc work. It's arc work. It's like an effort to kind of stay outside of the world, but be, have a foot in, and then and like trace some kind of trajectory of escape velocity from the from the assemblage that all those cultures are kind of combining together to enforce. Because, like, keep in mind, the idea is that there is an armistice, this kind of like society of control armistice of a reason, that all these different cultural spheres are, they're not legible to one another entirely, and they are, they have embedded moral ideas which are sincere and meaningful, but also, in the last instance, serve a kind of exploitative purpose that is not intelligible from within that frame, and that's the way that an armistice works. In my seminar that I'm about to give, I'm one of the texts I assigned was a really old one that I wrote. It was my first ever commentary on Nick Land. It's called Notes on Art as Insurrection, which is a text of his from his kind of early era. And why was I mentioning that? Oh yeah, just that that an advanced armistice like the one we're in, it's just, I think there's a good case to be made that essentially all of culture that is not sort of universally rational and aesthetic in this kind of imbricated way that I'm proposing is ideology. Like, that's why metaperichoresis is necessary, because any limited view is ideology. It serves the current sort of power structure, the current regime, and I'm this vague sense that I'm not being as articulate as usual. Not that I'm ever that articulate in these videos, but so the ideal here for Arrogation is to have an alien presence in worlds, and like that's like a trope. That's like being a stranger or a nomad in French philosophy. But the key is that it is connected to integration and coalescence, so that there is a sort of there's more structure to it. That's like that's such a key aspect of this. And when we discuss the final wing, catalysis, maybe I'll try to focus on why that's important.